So my friend lost his mom today, and he's gotten hit pretty hard by this. It was expected because she was suffering from MRSA, which is a really resistant viral infection that basically it never goes away. It just comes back and goes away and comes back and goes. It's like uh, it's kind of like cancer, but less. You've got so many years ish. I mean, yeah, that pretty much ended up being the case for her anyway. But he's grieving, he's hurting, of course. No one goes through a loss like that and comes out of it the same way. But I wanna share some life lessons that I've had through my own dealings with loss and grief. And number one is just how lucky we are to have something that precious that it hurts to lose it. I mean, come on. The wonderful thing about life is that we can bond so closely with other people that losing them is kind of like losing ourselves. I've lost a handful of people throughout my lifetime and countless others, not to death, but just to differing paths in life where I know there's a very small likelihood I'll ever see them again. And so dealing with the loss is not new to me, but it is still difficult because, let's be honest, you form a close relationship, a close bond with somebody else, and you trust that that bond will be there for at least a time, and then when you lose it, it feels awful. But again, how precious is that? You know? But secondly, don't expect the grief to go away in an instant. Don't expect to get over it in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. The grief never truly goes away. It just becomes more manageable and becomes more of a commonplace reminder rather than a devastating event that completely breaks you. I come from experience because losing my aunt was the first time I'd ever lost anyone. Losing my grandmother was a bit easier because she and I weren't as close as we might have been if she hadn't been a bit old and bitter at the time. The first real huge devastating loss I had was, well, when I was a young child, I really messed up a lot and got involved with the force, and the local police chief, now this is not a normal thing, but he took me under his wing. He mentored me. Well, about a year after I graduated high school, I heard that he died, pretty young in fact. I think it was a heart attack or something like that. Ron, if you're there, love you. But that hurt because my dad had never really been present in my life, and he was the first person to really step in a father-like role without actually forcing it so much. So it really meant a lot to me, and I went to the viewing, and I was devastated for a couple of weeks, just remembering that I'd never gotten to say goodbye and let him know just how much it meant to me that he'd taken such a vested interest in my well-being and in my growth as a person, because he sponsored me for 4-H for a year. He helped me get, one year he gave me a box of nothing but clothes for winter because Mom didn't have any money for Christmas presents, and both Mom and I felt so blessing and also so unworthy of that because we felt like if we managed things better, we could have afforded that ourselves. But, I mean, it was a beautiful thing that one guy took interest in a juvenile delinquent like me and took me under his wing. I remember he used to burn CDs of Celtic music for me because that's something that would calm me. I think he might have understood a bit about my spectrum disorder before we even suspected it was a thing. And I think that's a God thing, of course. But dealing with loss is a unique to you thing. You can't really compartmentalize it into, say, the 5 stages of grief or a psychological model that some bigwig has thought up and said, now this is how grief progresses, because guess what? Everyone is different. You'll go through the same kind of themes, not always in the same order, and sometimes with a couple steps added or subtracted, but usually you are the most experienced person in understanding how you grieve. So don't forget that. Don't forget that that's a wholly unique thing to you. Lastly, don't forget to let others help you, to let others comfort you, to let others pray for you if you're religious or if you're of that mindset. Don't let your family in. Don't isolate yourself in your grief. Don't put your life on pause just because you feel like the world stopped spinning, because guess what? It didn't. If you got a family, they still need you. If you got a job, you're still going to need to go to work, unfortunately. If you've got stuff that you need to do, you can't just stop because, I mean, I know it sounds harsh and I know it sounds wrong and I know it sounds unfair, but the harsh reality of the matter is that you can't just stop just because you feel like your world's falling apart, because there are people that need you still. And there are people that will be more than happy to help hold you together. Because, trust me, for at least a short time, you're going to need that more than anything. You're going to need someone to just say, I'm here. It's okay. You don't need to be strong right now. You don't need to hold it in. And I want to let you know, if you're going through a time like this where you're dealing with the loss of a loved one and you feel like you have to be strong because, well, you're this big bad whatever and that's what society expects of you, don't even give it a second thought, because guess what? Life is not a set of instructions. Life is a board game with a set of dice that always rolls a random number. You're not going to come out with the same results. You're not going to come out with the same exact events. Life is not going to happen in a paint by numbers way. So don't approach this in that kind of a manner either. Learn who you are and learn who you in your grief is, and find a way to accept that and to grow in that. Don't be afraid to grieve, and don't be afraid to let go when you need to. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience with this. I know I lost it a bit a couple times, but I'm dealing with this just as much as he is. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll be back when the day is new, and I'll have more ideas for you. And you'll have things that you'll want to talk about. I will too, because it's you. Thanks for watching, guys. And know that I'm here if you need to chat or talk. I understand what it's like to go through this, and I'll be willing to listen and just be there. Thank you for watching.